This is Coach Lee, and in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 games that exes play when they want you back. Take a quick second, click the subscribe button below so you can be notified when I have more videos like this. And that includes videos on attraction, mindfulness, dating, marriage, relationship dynamics, and success in life. Now, just because your ex is doing one of these things does not necessarily mean that they want you back. But especially if you combine it with other things that they do, like other games that I'm going to describe, or if they are staying in contact with you, or if you notice the same thing being done several times, then it gives you a good idea that there's a good chance that they want you back, or at least they aren't sure, which usually means you're doing the right thing, which in this case should be the no contact rule. So click that subscribe button. And if at any point you decide you like this video, hit that thumbs up. So the first game that you might notice your ex playing, if they want you back, is one that's familiar to a lot of you, and it's mentioned in the comments quite a bit, but your ex will pitch friendship. And if this happens the day of the breakup, it's not necessarily a game. When it's a game is when it happens a few weeks after the breakup. And a lot of times the reason that's happening is because your ex feels that distance and they don't want the distance, but because they don't trust that they want you back already, especially since most breakups take a long time to actually come to fruition. In other words, your ex didn't just wake up and decide to break up with you, but thought about it for weeks, months, sometimes even years before finally making that decision. And so your ex is not going to be quick to trust themselves just because they think they might want to get back together with you or just because they miss you. It takes some time where they experience that longing, that missing you, that doubt for a while before your ex is actually really going to trust it. Some people, it's quicker than others. I mean, some people cannot handle it even for a few days, but a lot of times, most of the time even, it takes longer than that. So a lot of times what they'll do, they will pitch friendship because they don't want you to get too far away. Now, who would not want you to get too far away? It would be someone who's interested in being with you. They don't want you to get too far away. And so friendship is like a great way in their mind of keeping an eye on you, keeping you close enough that they could get you back if they wanted you, just making sure you don't get so far away that they can't get you back. And you've probably heard me talk about this in other videos where really the key point among the stages that an ex will go through after they break up with you, and I have a video about that called Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact, and I'll link to that in the description below. But basically the key stage is when they start to experience loss. That is, they see that you can stay away from them, and they start to actually realize you could move on, and that they could not just get you back whenever they wanted, which is something they assumed basically since they broke up with you. Because since it was their decision to break up with you, the basic assumption is that they could get you back whenever they wanted. Now, they may not consciously think those words, but that's kind of the gut feeling that they have, is that since they are the dumper, since they broke up with you, they could get you back, that you're the one that can be gotten back, that their feelings are in question, not yours. And so when there's a little bit of a crack in that is when good things can happen if you want your ex back. You would think of that as good things. And one of those is that they would play this game, hey, let's still be friends. And they might even make an effort, like, let's go hang out as friends. And in other videos and in my emergency breakup kit, I talk about how you can kind of use that against them, because you don't want to accept friendship, but you also don't want to act like a jerk and say, no, I'm not going to accept friendship. Do not contact me again unless you're ready to get back together in a relationship. Because what that will do is it makes the hurdle so high that any little bit of doubt will prevent them from reaching out, because they will realize that you're going to think, okay, they're contacting me again, so they must be ready to get back in the relationship. When sometimes they kind of want to see if they are, they want to see how you react to that. That's human nature. And for us to expect anything different is a little bit silly. So there are ways to use that against them without just outright accepting friendship, or at least not acting on it, which is the biggest thing. And that is, you don't act like a friend. So you would still be flirty. You would still treat them as someone that you're interested in without simply propping up their ego. In other words, you wouldn't compliment them and tell them how miserable you've been without them and those kinds of things. But you would treat them as a confident person, you being the confident person, who you're interested in and you feel like you could get if you wanted. And like I said, I get into that a lot more in my emergency breakup kit, which I will link to in the description below. And I have some other videos where I do talk about that some as well, but not in as much detail as the kit. The next game that your ex could play if they are interested in getting back together with you is that they are mad at you because you haven't contacted them. And a lot of you have mentioned this in the comments. It's interesting that they break up with you, but you're the jerk because you haven't reached out to them. Now, this happens in a minority of cases. Most people get it. When they break up with you and you don't reach out to them, they understand that's actually a mature and natural response. When someone has said that they don't want you in their life anymore and you give them what they say they want, that's actually a mature response. You simply aren't going where you're not welcome. And it's actually a very attractive response. The no contact rule works very well. Does it work every single time? No. And sometimes people will get upset and say, it didn't work for me, so it doesn't work. Well, it does work, but it doesn't work every time. I wish that it did, but sometimes a breakup can be a blessing in disguise. And I have a video about that as well, which I will link to in the description below. But I hope that you're able to get your ex back. And if they want you back, it's very possible that they will reach out and say that they're upset at you or hurt because you haven't reached out to them. And your response when they do is actually key. What you want to do is play this as casually as you can. No big deal. You're not going to return anger for anger. You're simply going to say, oh, I've been so busy. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Just lots been going on. Something like that. Just be casual, a little bit flippant. That it's not that big of a deal to you because it really shouldn't be. You should not apologize and just fall all over yourself as though you've done something wrong because you haven't. At the same time, explaining to them that that's what happens when two people break up is tempting. But I would suggest you don't do it because it will actually make you look a little bit more in that role of being the person who still wants to get back together as though you're punishing them for the breakup, even though you're not. But it can look that way. And so I suggest that what you do is just play it off casually. I've been busy. I hate that I hurt your feelings, or I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And then just say something like, I hope you're doing well. And let the conversation fade. Don't try to carry it. Don't ask questions about how they're doing. Don't ask about what's going on with work or with their pet or anything like that. Just let the conversation end unless they keep going, in which case you can respond casually, politely. I go over this in other videos that you should not ignore them, and I won't repeat that too much except to say that if you ignore them, a lot of times people will just give up thinking they've blown it with you and won't reach out again. And if you want them back, that's not what you're going for. At the same time, you want to be casual. You don't want to tell them how much you miss them and all that, but don't ignore them. It's okay also to simply say, great talking to you. Let's catch up later. I need to get going. And to end the conversation that way. But when they reach out and tell you they're mad that you haven't been contacting them, just be casual. Show them they can't affect you, and that means ticking you off. Show them they can't do that because you are your own person. And at the moment, they are not a part of your life, and so they don't get to. The third game that your ex might play if he or she is interested in getting back together with you is what I call the jealousy bait. And they want you to see them with somebody else, a romantic partner potential. And they want you to see that and get upset and reach out to them. Maybe they post pictures online. They're out to dinner with the opposite sex. They are in a group of people and maybe they've got their hand on someone's shoulder. Just things like that that they are hoping you'll see and that it will make you reach out, beg for them back, try to see how they're feeling, try to get together with them. And what they're really doing is using you for an ego boost. Now, they still could want you back, but they also want that ego boost because really exes a lot of times after they've broken up with you will kind of go through these selfish phases where they want you to validate them and make them feel sexy because when they break up with you, they feel attractive and sexy because they're above you since they broke up with you. And if you don't act like that's the case, in other words, if you use the no contact rule and you're not chasing and begging and trying to get them back, then it kind of throws a wrench into their assumptions. And they think, wait, I thought I was more attractive because I broke up with her or because I broke up with him, but maybe I'm not more attractive because he's not acting like it. She's not acting like it. And so they want you to start acting like it so they feel sexy again. And it's a way that they can use you to build up their ego. And a lot of times when they're wanting you back, they want you to build up their ego a little bit so they have courage enough maybe to pursue you, or so that they simply have an easier breakup because they think they could get you back whenever they want you because you're just so darn attracted to them. And it's important to just let them hear their own echo when it comes to this stuff. Don't comment when they post social media pictures of them with other people. Don't respond to their friends or mention it to their friends. And if their friends mention it to you, your ex can have all kinds of flying monkeys, spies, whatever you want to call them, who are going to tell them every little tidbit that you say. And trust me on this one, even if you think that these are mutual friends and you can trust them, if I had a dime for every time I told someone, just don't talk to these people about the breakup or the relationship. Don't tell them you want the person back. Don't tell them you're struggling. And for some reason, people just want to convince me that no, this person, even though they're mutual friends with the two of us, I can trust them. They're not going to say anything. They almost always do. And they tell me I wish I had listened because they went to my ex. They told him, they told her that I was really struggling with it, that I had cried, that I was just staying home depressed, all those things. And sometimes the person who tells them has great intentions because people tend to overestimate their ability to help you get your ex back because they think if they just go have a good talking to with your ex, that that'll fix it. You thought that probably too, that if you could just talk to your ex, you could fix this and get them back. But I have a video about that where I talk about how just having a good talk, trying to talk your ex back into it will not work because they're not in the right place in terms of how they feel and think. And that takes time. But your friend doesn't know this. And so they will go to your ex on your behalf, even if you swear them by blood oath not to. They think that you will be perfectly fine with it because it'll get your ex back and now this friend is your hero. That can happen. Or this friend could really not be that good of a friend to be making fun of you to your ex. There's just really too much risk involved. Talk to a counselor or a family member or maybe a friend who does not know your ex or isn't a friend with your ex, but don't talk to the mutual friends. And if they say that your ex, oh yeah, she went out with this guy this weekend or he went out with this girl this weekend or whatever, if they tell you that, sometimes they're doing it to see what your response is because they've been asked to by your ex, and your ex is wanting to know they could get you back whenever they want you. They want to see if that stings when you hear it. They want to know that all they have to do is say the word and they could get you back, and it makes them feel so sexy knowing that. And so they want to see because, goodness, they want to feel that so that they can look in the mirror and be impressed with themselves. And so what you want to do is not give them any of that. So if I were you, I would either change the subject or respond casually like, oh, that's great, and then go on to another topic. But don't give them anything with that and try to get away from that person because that's really going to be something you should be suspicious of if a mutual friend is telling you that your ex went out with somebody else the weekend before, because why would they do that to you unless there's ulterior motives? And a lot of times your ex is behind it. Game number 4 that your ex can play if they want you back is the "Are you okay?" message. And a lot of times when they don't hear from you, they will reach out with that. And you think, well, that's really nice of them. They're checking on me. Maybe, but very likely what they're doing is they are wanting you to, as I said earlier, start doing what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make them feel really good about themselves. You're supposed to make them feel really sexy. And you should be begging and pleading and trying to get them back and trying to win over this person, trying to get back in their good graces. And you're not doing that. And so it's almost like prodding an animal when they're in a cage, trying to get them to move. they want you to move. They want you to show them you're still interested. And so it's, again, important to be really casual. Don't say that you're just doing so awesome that it's the best you've ever felt in your life, because that will seem fake. Just say, I'm doing good. I've had a good week. Hope you're doing well. Again, casual and polite and simple. Do not carry the conversation. If they do, you may respond, but there's no need to carry it. You want to just let it fade away because it's not under the right circumstances, and because it shows you're not chasing, and so you're not behaving like you should be. You're not demonstrating that you still want them back and you're still attracted to them, and that can make them demand that you do it more, and it can even cause anger. And so they might reach out, ask if you're okay, as though since they haven't heard from you, they can only assume something's wrong, which is ridiculous after breaking up with someone. But it is a game because they're trying to get you to start the conversation back and really participate and show them how attractive they are and that you're still interested. Don't do it. Just stay casual and do like I've suggested, and you'll be just fine. You'll stay in no contact, basically, and they will still feel and have to realize the true breakup. And the fifth game that your ex can play, if they want to get back together, is over the status of their stuff. They will tell you they want to come get their stuff, or that they want you to come get your stuff, but then maybe it doesn't happen, or they cancel, and they mention it again a few weeks later, and they're not getting their stuff. And sometimes the reason for that can be that your ex wants to kind of have a Trojan horse with you. They want to have an excuse later to come get their stuff, or they simply can't bring themselves to get their stuff or to send your stuff back because they feel like that would be losing kind of the final straw, the final piece of the relationship, and they're kind of wanting to hold on a little bit. That's usually a good sign if you want your ex back. And I suggest that, just like with other things, you don't make a big deal about this. You don't say, why are you not coming and getting your stuff? And you don't get upset maybe if they cancel and say, hey, don't come get your stuff because I've got to do this and that. Just don't make a big deal about it. And if they do keep up their end of it, in other words, if they say, I'm coming to get my stuff, just be casual. Hey, good to see you. Here's your stuff. Hope you're doing well. I've got to get going. I've got to get ready for something. Something casual like that. Now, if they start trying to have a conversation, don't demand that they leave. But as far as your end, just like with the texting, just kind of let it fade. Be polite, be casual, no big deal. Remember, you're showing them that you're just fine, that they are not affecting you, and that you're living your life and you could just move on at some point. And maybe you already have. That's what we want to be going through the mind of your ex, and that's what you demonstrate to them. The biggest thing that you can do for yourself is to be casual and show that your ex cannot manipulate you or affect you. It's very important because that is when you show strength, which is very important to getting your ex back. So take a look at my emergency breakup kit. You can get information on that with the link that I will leave in the description below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.